It's probably one of the coolest things we do as an organization is that when someone experiences a personal disaster of any kind, it's an opportunity for our employees to really step up.
Welcome to Thought Talk, Positivity in Motion. Hosted by best-selling author, speaker, and coach C. Ray Collins.
Communication is still a very important key, and making it positive is something that we don't do enough of.
C. Ray visits with members of our communities and leaders of local businesses on how they share a positive message during difficult and good times. And now, here's C. Ray.
Welcome to Thought Talk, Positivity in Motion. Everything is positive on this cast, and today we have a guest that is president of Austin Commercial. It's one of the largest construction companies in the North Dallas area. Brad Brown, I appreciate you being here today.
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks.
Elbow bump here.
There you go. Yeah.
Good deal. So, a lot of people don't always understand what goes on with construction companies or what impact they have upon their communities. So today, that's what we're going to get into a little bit. So, Austin Commercial by Dallas Morning Journal says that they are the #1 contractor in the Dallas Metroplex. And I also know they work all over the United States. So, Brad, how about you tell us a little bit about the company and also tell a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, I'll start with the company, and I'll talk more about them than I do me. But as you said, Austin Commercial is part of Austin Industries. That's the parent organization. The roots of our business are in the civil or road building, road and bridge building business, and that goes back to, actually our roots go back to 1889, but officially 1918 was the start of Austin. And then there's an industrial division, obviously the bridge and road division that we talked about, and then I work for the commercial division, which is, I guess, 45 years old as we sit here today. And we have clearly based in Dallas-Fort Worth, and then we have a base of operation in Austin, in Houston, and then in the southeast in Orlando, Florida, and then in the west in Los Angeles, California. And then we're very fortunate to work on a lot of different aviation projects, and so we consider aviation our 6th business unit, but they really are at 30,000 feet across the country. And as we're sitting here today, we're working on 10 different major airport campuses across the country. But Austin as a whole is 100% employee owned, so it's owned by its employees. It's a really unique benefit for those of us that work there, and then obviously for the customers that we serve, that they're dealing with an owner of the company. But then specific to commercial, we do, again, as we talked about, aviation, healthcare, office or corporate build-to-suit headquarters, hotels, higher education, and then large gathering or stadium facilities.
Of course, y'all have continued to work through the coronavirus epidemic here, and I know there's been extra safety factors put in place. So how have you kept morale up with your employees and your subcontractors?
Well, let me say this. We've been called essential. So construction, we were very fortunate. We only had one small project at Texas Health Resources in Plano that was shut down. The rest of our work around the country remained ongoing. And like I say, we were classified as essential business. And so we were very fortunate because a number of our projects have demanding schedules and expectations at the completion of those projects. So to make sure that those projects continued to keep going was really, really important. But I will tell you, morale was difficult, particularly at the onset back in March, as there were a lot of unknowns about what was happening. There was a lot of panic. Particularly as people contracted or the disease and not knowing what it was. So keeping morale up and keeping people working and focused has been a challenge. But as time has gone on, obviously there's more known about what's happening. There's more known about how to contain it and control it. And so I think what we've done, or what we've tried to do, is be I guess a couple things. One, be very visible in what we are doing on job sites to keep them clean, to keep them safe. Clearly, we always require, appropriate PPE, hard hat, gloves, protective eyeglasses. But we've now required face coverings on all of our job sites. We've obviously put in shift work to allow, certain employees to come at certain times of day. That way everybody's not showing up at the same time. We're requiring temperature checks as people come onto job sites. Some of our job sites are really advanced into, they actually use their mobile device to check in and answer some questions, just as, some of us do when we go to airports or things like that. Kind of a pre-screen, if you will. And so a number of measures, again, hand washing stations, and then just the traditional social distancing things that I think not only the construction industry, but general business has fallen in line with. But we've tried to be very, very visible with that. And then the other piece is the communication piece, is just staying in constant communication with our forces, our subcontractor partners, letting them know what's happening on the job, what we're going to be doing, what we're trying to do. And then I would say it's two ways. We're inviting from them. What are you seeing being done on other jobs? What do you want to see us do? How else can we help and keep your people safe? Because that's clearly a hallmark of Austin Commercial. But more importantly, we want to make sure people that work on our job sites are really, really safe.
So, once an owner or a developer decides to do a project, construction company comes in, which in your case, Austin Commercial, and you come in, you start building, you hire local people, you usually use local contractors, and you're putting back, into the community. And that's all a positive, and that's what this show's all about.
Sure.
And which is a big impact, especially some of the projects y'all do are very large and brings a lot of money into the neighborhood. And like I say, of course, it starts with the owner and developer to do that. But your company is, I won't say necessarily unique, but has been very successful, won local awards and national awards for your diversity affair department. And if you would explain to the audience what that is. A lot of people probably don't know what that is, and talk about how Austin manages it.
Sure. It fits into, I guess it's now being termed the diversity and inclusion space. And so I would say on two levels. One, just organizationally, we feel like we need to be a good corporate citizen in who we hire and who we promote, and obviously try to lead the industry well in both, the hiring and promotion of minorities and the hiring and promotion of females. And then what we do spend with small businesses, minority-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, historically underutilized businesses, veteran-owned businesses. It literally runs the gamut. And so we feel like we've got a responsibility on several levels from what I would call just corporate citizenship that we are responsible to. And that starts literally with kind of our heritage. Bill Solomon was one of three original founders of the Dallas Together Forum, which was, businesses realized there were some good things happening in pockets and different businesses were doing different things, but it literally was, what can we do together? And that started with public reporting of our minority and women-owned hiring practices, our promotions within our businesses. And so we're very transparent with that. So that's kind of one piece that I would say that we do to give back to our community. The other piece that you talked about is a number of the projects we build, not only are they highly visible, but a number of them are being built with public dollars or, local municipality dollars. And so they want to know that the money that is being spent on that project, they're utilizing local, companies, local businesses, local employees. And so I'll just give examples. Airports probably represent as good of an example of that. You have a major airport terminal that's being built in a city. Again, they want to know that the local construction market, subcontractor market, is being utilized for those projects. And again, we've got a recognized program of being able to go in and package work accordingly that allows not just large subcontractors, but allows allows smaller subcontractors to get engaged. And then there's always a spending threshold set forth by those municipalities or those owners that they want to see, be it 20, 30, in some cases 40% of the project be spent with either local business, small business, a certain type of minority business, or like I say, historically underutilized or veteran-owned businesses. So again, the designations differ from project to project, but again, we've got a recognized program of being able to get the community involved, because when the project's over, again, people seldom realize how many people go to work on those projects. I mean, sometimes, you know
Absolutely.
from history that projects can be upwards of 2,000, tradespeople working on those projects. And people don't realize those people use those salaries to, whether it's buy dry cleaning, haircuts, donuts at the local donut shop. They're
Right.
part of those communities as well. And so again, they want to know that the dollars that are being invested in those projects are being spent back through the community through community spend and diversity spend.
So the program has been very successful, and I know you not only use minorities and women-owned companies and so forth, but you've also won local and national awards. You want to kind of explain that just a little bit?
Well, let me say this. The two largest national construction associations are the Associated General Contractors of America and then the Association of Builders and Contractors. And here, just the last 3 years, we have received their largest and highest award for diversity and inclusion program and spending. And so we're, and let me say this, beyond just the award, it's the transparency of putting our program out there, of saying this is what we do to try to help within the communities that we work and live and serve. It's the recognition that we do have a program that produces results. And again, it's in our DNA. It started again with Mr. Solomon and his family, and what makes it easy for Austin Commercial is long before this became what I would say required practice on most of our projects, we require corporately that at least 10% of our projects will be spent with minority and women-owned businesses. And so we have a threshold that we set, just whether the project or the owner require it, we do it just as part of practice. And so it's in our DNA. And again, it's nice to get the trophies because that recognizes the efforts of the people. But again, I think it's more the recognized practice of it's just who we are. So when I say it makes it easy for us, let me just say this, it's very commonplace in what we do.
So we've been talking about giving to the community and how construction affects the community, and being an employee-owned company. Your employees themselves, along with the company, y'all give back to the community all the time. And I know that y'all do stuff with the United Way and blood drives, but y'all do much more, right? Much more?
Absolutely. We're fortunate. We work for a lot of healthcare clients. And so, the first president of Austin Commercial was very keen on what I would say are pediatric healthcare needs. And so certainly children in need in a healthcare environment. We host a golf tournament every year that's now raised upwards of $2 million plus that have gone back to some of our healthcare partners with Texas Health Resources, the Methodist Health System. And so a lot of give back, I would say, goes to the healthcare community. We also are working in Houston for Memorial Hermann Healthcare System, and so we're starting to give back some dollars there. So a lot of dollars, and again, employee owner dollars and money that we raise go to a lot of healthcare systems. And then we've been really fortunate just here in the last couple of years to be involved with the Dallas Children's Advocacy Center. We've actually built that facility. We built a facility, a really unique project called for the 24-Hour Club, which is a transitional housing for people dealing with addiction and specifically alcohol addiction. And so we got to be a part of actually not only building that project, but a lot of give back of pro bono services in doing that. And so, and the other thing that I always point out about our giving back as a company, given that we're 100% employee owned, it is a true donation. We don't get a tax write-off because of our subchapter S status. That gets a lot more into tax legal jumbo than I even know about. But the fact is, it is a true donation. So when you see Austin Commercial or Austin Industries giving to a local cause, it is a true donation. And again, we don't get the tax benefit that a lot of corporations do when they give.
So Austin is is employee owned, and I think coming from the roots, and it's more like a family, and you treat all your employees like a family, and I know you also try to take care of your employees even through some of the natural disasters that's happened with hurricanes and so forth like this. So y'all have a program for that as well, correct?
Called the Austin Family Fund. It's probably one of the coolest things we do as an organization is that when someone experiences a personal disaster of any kind, it's an opportunity for our employees to really step up and give back and take care of their fellow employee owners. And again, I'm always blown away the dollars that come flowing forward when someone, whether it be on a large scale like a hurricane that affects multiples, or if it's just a one-off, someone has a fire or something that devastates their current situation. Again, I'm thankful I work for a company that steps up in those times.
So I know safety is a large part of construction work, and of course, trying to take care of people and protect people is definitely a positive thing. And I know Austin is one of the leaders in that area. Do you think some of the steps with the mask and distancing and all this will continue to be part of the safety program going forward, or once this has passed, or do you think not?
I do think a number of what I would call the just cleanliness factors, I hope continue. The hand washing stations, distancing the restrooms and keeping those more clean and up to date. I mean, that's the one thing people don't realize on a construction project is, we're building in a lot of cases new facilities. And so you have to provide portable restroom facilities. And again, it's hard to upkeep and maintain on a project, but obviously there's been a lot of focus on that during this COVID season. So I think that's going to help and continue. I think those are practices that will continue. As far the masks are very burdensome. Let me say this: that people, true craft workers, doing their trade or their craft, sometimes, particularly in Texas or other warm climates, that mask can it can begin to fog up your eyewear, and so you don't either want to wear the mask, you don't want to wear the glasses. But in today's day and age, we know we need both of them.
Yeah, then we'll get into the sweating.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So I would say that's one. I don't think anybody's loving showing up to work today wearing a face covering. But again, I think everyone has bought in and understands that it's necessary. But I would say we're still learning from our subcontractor partners and those that we do work with what works, and we're going to have to maintain communication with them because again, if there's an idea about how someone can be safe, we want to make sure we're listening to it. Because in addition to the diversity and inclusion awards that we talked about, we're very proud of our safety record. And we've been recognized at the highest level, but that just starts with just doing right by that individual working out on that task. And so I would say, yes, there's some things that we've learned through this COVID season, if you will, that I hope continue and we continue to maintain. There's also probably going to be some things that people will be glad to see kind of go away. Because again, a lot of that has to do with working closely. If you and I have to do something together, right, we have to monitor that. We can only allow that activity to happen for a certain period of time, and then you have to separate. That creates some logistical and schedule challenges on projects, as you would well know. And
definitely cut down on productivity.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. So let's for our audience out here that doesn't know too much about Austin Commercial, talk about a couple of your iconic buildings that you've been associated, or projects that you've been associated with that people would recognize here in the Dallas Metroplex or even in Texas.
Sure. Well, I didn't say it at the beginning, or if I would reinforce if I did. 85% of our work is repeat business. A lot of times people see Austin and associate us with large projects, and we're, again, we do build some large work, but mostly we build relationships. So traditionally, who we're working for are going to be building projects time and time again. So we've been really fortunate. If I could go back in time, a lot of DFW Airport, a lot of corporations that made the move when they moved into Dallas-Fort Worth, when Dallas-Fort Worth became such what I would call maybe a central hub for a number of Fortune 500, Fortune 100 companies. So we've been fortunate to, again, American Airlines, we just recently finished a new headquarters space for them. Toyota, when they moved into North Texas, we were the sole general contractor for almost 5 million square feet there in Plano or North Dallas. Built the American Airlines Center, the arena for the Mavericks and the Stars. And then again, have been very fortunate to work for a number of different healthcare clients, Texas Health Resources on multiple campuses, work for Methodist Hospital System here, and then also work for UT Southwestern, a number of different large projects that have happened there, and are finishing a project currently for them at the Clements Tower, an expansion of that project there. So again, and then like I say, in Texas currently today, we're building the new Austin FC soccer stadium. So that's a cool project, is, everybody, soccer's a big deal. We also built the Circuit of the Americas Formula One racetrack down in Austin. So again, another iconic project for people or fans of Formula One racing. And so, again, very fortunate to do a number of different large and high-profile projects, but people would also probably be surprised to know some of the work that we're doing in small offices today or in a healthcare environment. Again, our contract sizes literally run, anywhere from, $5,000 to over $1 billion. So we literally can do anything in between.
So what about what are some projects y'all have going on today here in the local market?
So work for Craig Hall and the Hall Financial Group, and have finished a hotel, and are finishing the residential portion of that project in downtown Dallas today. We just recently finished what will be new administrative space for Baylor Scott and White Hospital over near the Baylor downtown facility. Recently finished Texas Health Resources, a new campus for them in Frisco, so as they are expanding their footprint. Recently worked for First Baptist Church of Dallas, an expansion of their campus today. And then just recently finished a garage, but are now soon to start, or have recently started, a major expansion of what is called RFAB for Texas Instruments there in Richardson, which is a really, really large facility. Probably a lot of people don't exactly know what happens in a wafer fabrication facility, but let's just say this: there's a lot of people use a lot of devices of what comes out of those facilities, and so
Sure,
construction's standing in the way of somebody using a device if we're still there.
So we talk about all, the positive things, affects the community, the positive, it's not only brings jobs, it brings, for smaller companies, they get the opportunity to do more work. You give back to the community. All these are a very positive thing. And like you say, you don't look for recognition for it, but you should be getting recognition for it, because you do a lot of things for the community, and people's not aware of that when the construction company comes in and does this type of work, especially a local contractor. So I myself, I appreciate it, and I think the community would do the same thing. So if somebody want to learn more about you,
Sure.
Where would they find it? Where would they go to find more about Austin Commercial?
So our website is www.austin-ind, as in industries.com. And again, we're pretty proud of our work there, not just Austin Commercial, but again, our industrial company, and then Austin Bridge and Road. So all construction companies like to showcase their portfolio of work, so you can see the depth of our work and who we've worked for and what we've done. But yeah, our website's probably our absolute best spot. And of course, we've got Instagram and LinkedIn and all the traditional Facebook mediums as well. But our website's probably our best.
Yeah, so we talk about being the largest contractor locally. I think Austin Industry, which is the parent company, y'all also rank nationally too by Engineering News. Is that correct?
We are. Probably, I think our most recent ranking is somewhere in the top 30 to 35. And so and I'm very proud, it's a U.S. based company, obviously based right here in Dallas, Texas. And so to have one of the largest construction services providers be based right here in Dallas, Texas, I think is pretty special.
I think that's special too. So, Brad, you got anything you want to add before we end this podcast
Well,
today?
I just appreciate, a lot of people don't know your story and your contribution, but again, the fact that you're doing something like this and what you're trying to do, what I would call on the second half of your career, is really inspiring. A lot of people, you wouldn't say this about yourself, but there's a lot of people that you've provided a lot of great leadership and mentorship, and what I would say in a positive way, which, you know, we work in an industry that isn't always recognized for that. It kind of comes from a hard charging. We have tough schedules and tough projects to get built, and sometimes that comes with heavy demands, but the one thing I would want to say about you is you were a guy that always did it the right way and saw the value in people and building them up, and the legacy that leaves. I mean, what an awesome legacy that if we could all look back and say, not only did we leave our company better, but we left the people that we worked with better and wanting to be more like you and even be better than you. A lot of people don't know that about you, and unfortunately I do, and I'm one of those people. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. So, again, I appreciate you being here. Maybe we'll do this again
Happy to do it.
sometime.
Happy to do it.
For you folks out there, do something positive today. Help somebody, support somebody, and move ahead. Y'all have a good day.